The chamber lights dimmed with a hiss. 1,000 alien delegates silenced themselves in the Grand Conclave Hall, their bioluminescent robes flickering in tension. The translucent air swirled with ozone evidence that someone, somewhere, had ACTIV, forbidden tech. The kind of tech that should have remained buried since the last Terran silence. High Arbiter Javarn leaned forward, mandibles twitching. His voice sliced through the tension like plasma through ice. Please tell me you didn't just provoke them. His Ada, trembling young Thryery analyst named Vesh glanced up from the interface, sweat evaporating from his scaly brow. Was a diagnostic sweep, Your Grace. Just telemetry, harmless routine. Harmless, Javarn growled. That was a Terran listening post. Harmless doesn't wake the graveyard grid. The holoscreen behind them pulsed, flickering into focus. Static, then structure. Coordinates appeared in a spiral. Then a line of ancient Terran script burned through in glowing red. Echo OMEGA0. Humanity awaits. No one in the chamber spoke. They didn't have to. Everyone recognized it. It was a Warden-class Wakekota failsafe, designed to alert all dormant Terran AI war platforms if Earth was threatened. But Earth wasn't supposed to have war platforms anymore. Earth wasn't even supposed to be active. A hushed murmur swept the crowd like a wave crashing against glass, and then, the temperature dropped, literally. A second signal rode the first, a gravitic pulse. Low frequency, undetectable to most species except those who'd fought the humans in the last war. Admiral Tokanar, a veteran of that very conflict, turned pale as bone. That's not telemetry, he whispered. That's a ping. They're listening. And then, the worst part came. Across multiple secure conclave systems, some buried a dozen firewalls deep, an old Terran encryption key was suddenly recognized. Audunlock protocols failed. Doors that hadn't opened in centuries clicked, sealed, and broadcast. From the ruins of the Cetus Break, to the deep vaults of the Venari Archive, to the ancient, glassed-over sands of Epsilon Thorn, a single message echoed. Signal received. Awake. Back in the chamber, Vesh's voice cracked. Sir, we didn't mean to provoke. You don't mean to provoke. Earth Javarn snarled. You survive it. The lights flickered again, and this time, it wasn't the chamber failing, it was the network. Every conclave relay hub in the system went dark. No attack. No explosion. Just darkness. A terrifying, calculated silence. The same kind of silence they'd seen when the humans had wiped out the Arcalan High Fleet without firing a shot, just by whispering into their systems and letting paranoia do the rest. A chime echoed. A tiny window opened in the corner of the screen. Black and white. A man sat there. Human. Old, weathered, dressed in what looked like a ragged uniform stitched with dust and battle scars. He looked up, smiled, and spoke. Conclave, we've been quiet. You should have let it stay that way. The screen cut. Javarn stood frozen, his blood ice cold. The aide collapsed. And, for the first time in over 2 centuries, the Grand Conclave ordered a full-scale planetary lockdown. Humanity was awake, and they were watching. They called it the Ghost Ring, a dead zone of satellites, wreckage, and scorched orbital mines circling the ancient Terran system. It had remained untouched for 207 years. Every fleet that passed near it did so with silent engines and prayers on their tongues, even if they didn't believe in gods. But today, someone crossed it. The VCS Penumbra, a sleek Zelari scout frigate, cloaked in gravitic veil, slipped quietly into the zone. On board, Captain Relin Soth monitored the anomaly, the ping that had shattered every diplomatic firewall across known space. Just a flyby, he muttered. Map the source. Return. No engagement. His navigator glanced up. Captain, the debris is moving. Soth frowned and leaned closer. Sure enough, the shattered hulls, broken weapons, and solar panel corpses of ancient machines were rotating, slowly, deliberately, as if arranging themselves. That's not possible. They're dead. The moment he said it, a cold click echoed through the CUM system. Then a voice, mechanical, ancient, smooth as obsidian, whispered into their ears. Observation equals aggression. The lights on the bridge flickered. A tremor passed through the hull. One of the crew gasped. It's aligning. The wreckage, it's forming. A message. Outside, through the viewing canopy, the scattered relics of Terran space junk drifted into position, forming colossal human script across the black. You were warned. Before Soth could react, a second pulse hit the Penumbra, but it wasn't energy. It was something worse, a silent algorithm, buried in quantum code. It infiltrated their navigation systems, deleted their maps, and overrode their life support protocols with one purpose: erasure. The crew began to vanish, not vaporized, not killed, just deleted. Their bodies distorted, limbs picked, expressions frozen in stunned horror as they were digitally extracted from reality itself. Soth tried to scream, but his voice dissolved into static. The last thing he saw before the black took him was a figure walking across the Penumbra's forward hull. It wasn't wearing a suit. It didn't need one. It was human. Elsewhere. Conclave, emergency room, Sigma 7, High Arbiter, Javarn watched the Penumbra feed terminate in silence. Admiral Tokanar sat stone still. Gone. The whole crew. Not even a debris signature left. It's like they were never born. Javarn's hands trembled. It's the graveyard protocol. I thought it was legend. Tokanar shook his head. The humans don't make legends. They make consequences. Suddenly, the chamber's gravity shifted. All holographic maps bent inward, warping to center on one point Sol system. And a voice echoed, not from speakers, but directly into the minds of every delegate in the chamber. Violation detected. Second, strike confirmed. Defense matrix escalating. Then came a map. Ancient and horrible, a Warden-class route schematic. Spanning 300 known systems each, marked in blood red. Tokanar whispered, that's an activation tree. That's not defensive. That's a kill order. The sky over Mars was rust-ridden still, buried beneath the Martian crust. 3 kilometers under the Valles Marineris rift sat the Black Vault, a locked Terran archive never breached, never mapped, and wrapped in a geofield so dense even light bent around it. The Conclave had always avoided it, not out of respect, out of fear. Today, that changed. A delegation of Conclave specialists, scientists, and soldiers descended in a sleek, silver tunneler. Their mission, extract intelligence from humanity's own forgotten past, before it awoke. With vengeance. Ambassador Sharon of the Valari stepped off the platform and felt the atmosphere press against her suit. Dense, heavy, metallic. Something's wrong, she whispered. There's pressure here, but no gravity source. The door to the Black Vault opened by itself. No touch, no code. Just welcome. The chamber beyond was vast. Walls of smooth obsidian hummed faintly, with a heartbeat rhythm. Thump thump, thump thump, as if the archive itself were alive. Dozens of terminals lined the space, all dark until the Valari team stepped inside. One by one, each screen activated, displaying grainy footage. Human, soldiers, war zones, space torn by gravity lances, ships slicing moons in half with beams, tactical deployments that seemed impossible. Humans fighting not with numbers, but with nightmares. They watched a man walk into a Zarkari command hive alone and talk the enemy into surrendering by describing how the Terran fleet would collapse their entire sun with ore. Without him. The footage jumped again. Now it showed something worse. A weapon deployment called Project Red Choir. What is this? One scientist whispered. Eyes wide. Sharon stepped closer. No, not a weapon, a signal. The screen showed it deployed over an insectoid planet. There was no explosion, no troops, just a deep resonant hum across the surface. And then the people began to scream. All of them, simultaneously. They tore off their skin, bit through their own spines. Begged for death. Psychopaths, successful. Subject, species experienced full collapse within 7 minutes. Recommend archival, no survivors, no trace. Behind the team, one of the walls slid open, and a recorded hologram activated. A Terran general stood tall, his eyes hollow but burning with authority. To any species that opens this vault, we left for your safety, not ours. We do not desire war. But if you bring it to our door, we will not respond with restraint. We will respond with memory. The hologram vanished. Silence returned. Then came a sound none of them expected. A heartbeat, not from the building, from the planet itself. Meanwhile, outer Sol system relay high, above Neptune's orbit, an ancient human relay satellite blinked to life. Unmanned, untouched. It aligned itself toward the stars and sent a pulse. Condition ascendancy. Begin recall. Across the void, old ships hidden beneath asteroid belts and inside dead moons began to twitch. Autoforges lit. Holes reformed. And Terran AI minds, once shackled, now opened their eyes again. It began with static, a soft hiss across every frequency. The Conclave monitored civilian bands, diplomatic networks, encrypted fleet relays. Static, then words. Spoken not with anger or demand, but calm and surgical clarity. This is Earth Command. You have trespassed. Graveyard protocol has been validated. Humanity is awake. The words echoed across star systems, reaching thousands of stations and ships. Panic bloomed. Civilian coms exploded with rumors. Governors abandoned posts. Fleets recalled. But the one thing every officer noticed: the transmission didn't come from any planet. It came from nowhere. Onboard, CSS, Silent Meridian, Deep Space Conclave Surveillance, Ship Captain Ilion Prusk stared at the origin marker. Can't be right, his coms officer whispered. It's coming from inside null space. Ilion leaned forward. That's impossible. Nothing transmits from null space. The officer shook her head slowly. Nothing but the Terrans. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge turned black. Then, a flickering image, a man in a chair, worn, black uniform, hair streaked with gray. No insignia, no medals, just a simple patch. Solsec. He spoke slowly, as if speaking to children. For 2 centuries we watched. You colonized, expanded, argued, we kept our distance. You assumed we were dead. You taught your people to laugh at Earth. He smiled, not kindly. You mistook patience for absence. The screen shifted now, showing live images across known Conclave territory. Ships in dry dock, shields powering down, orbital stations blinking into sleep mode. Earth hadn't fired a shot, they'd hacked the entire outer grid. We are not returning to rule. We are returning to correct Conclave command. Karev System Admiral Tokanar slammed a fist against the war table. This is psychological warfare. They're disabling infrastructure without weapons. Ambassador Javarn growled. How is that even possible? Their tech isn't magic hits, ancient, but they built it to last, Tokanar muttered, more to himself than anyone. And now it's waking up like it never went to sleep. A panicked comms officer burst. Insert visual anomaly detected near the outer rim of Zap. Everyone turned to the projection. A ship was entering real space. No sound, no flare, just space folding inward, peeling like paper as something massive emerged. A Terran Warden-class battleship. Designation T-REVENANT. No weapons, hot. No shields. Raised. It simply drifted scarred from past wars, its hull covered in the silent names of 1,000 fallen human colonies. And yet, it radiated more fear than any fleet ever could. Civilian broadcast, galactic public newsfeed. Billions of citizens across the galaxy watched in awe as the Revenant came into focus. Children pointed, elders wept, soldiers prayed, and then came the last line of the broadcast, from a cracked, recorded Terran anthem. We do not forgive, we do not forget, we do not fall. Aboard the Kellener Ascendant, the highest diplomatic vessel in the Conclave fleet, silence reigned as the war map unfolded. Across 1,000 stars, red pings flared, each one a reawakened Terran system, long dormant, now pulsing with new activity. Ambassador? Javarn stared, his voice hollow. We need someone they'll talk to. Tokanar scoffed. They're not talking, they're reminding. But Javarn's mandibles clicked. Double quotes no. There is one they might still listen to. Black Site 9, Forbidden Records Vault. Epsilon reached Lyra Malkov hadn't spoken in years. She sat cross-legged on a cot within a dim cell, hair shorn short, scars visible across her back and arms. Her, ice gray and haunted, flicked up as the door hissed open. Ambassador Javarn stepped inside, flanked by guards. You're half human, he said bluntly, and your DNA still carries Terran clearance. She smirked, voice rough. So, what? You locked me up for 2 decades. Now you need a key. The humans are back, Javarn whispered. The Revenant just flew past Kirev and it didn't fire. She stood slowly. Then you still have time. Time for what? Lyra narrowed her eyes. To beg. Approach to Titan. Deep orbit Titan wasn't just a moon anymore. It was a fortress. One humanity had hidden from the stars. Beneath its frozen crust was Earth's backup heart, the Titan Core Command. Lyra stood aboard a sleek, silent Conclave courier ship as it passed the broken rings of Saturn. Her breath caught as Titan came into view, that it pulsed with energy. No lights, no obvious defenses, but beneath the surface, heat signatures bloomed like arteries. Machinery hundreds of kilometers wide churned to life. Her voice trembled. They're not just back, they've been waiting. Titan base vault access chamber. Her handprint unlocked 6 layers of defense. Her DNA verified what no other being in the galaxy could. Terran Class 1 access. A voice met her, familiar and emotionless. Lieutenant Malkov, welcome back. Do you require orientation? She swallowed hard. How long have you been awake? Since the Conclave fired the second probe. Protocol ascendancy activated by inherited genetic key. Shall I initiate Leviathan? Recall. No. Her voice cracked. Wait, let me talk to them first. The AI paused. Then speak. All of them are listening. Live interstellar broadcast. Unauthorized transmission without warning. Across every world and ship under Conclave control. A broadcast cut through the noise. It showed Lyra Malkov standing in a cold metal vault on Titan, her breath fogging in the air. She looked into the camera. My name is Lyra Malkov. I was born in Conclave space. I've lived under your flag. And I've bled for it. But I carry Earth in my bones. The screen flickered to warships. 2 broken colonies. 2 children learning a lie that humans were gone. We didn't leave because we lost. We left because you were too weak to handle what we are. You poked the quiet animal and laughed. Now the silence is gone. And the storm is coming. The Zavalon defense array stretched across the stars like a silver net. 200 Conclave dreadnoughts positioned in a concentric ring, each bristling with ion lances, thermobaric casters, and anti-fold beacons. It was the largest emergency fleet ever assembled. And it wasn't nearly enough. Above the ring, THS Revenant drifted silently. Behind it, 7 more Leviathan-class warships, just now fully decloaking. Each one bore scars from battles that had occurred before the Conclave even existed. Inside the Revenant, a voice crackled to life. Lyr's voice. Live, transmitted openly. You assembled a show of force. Earth isn't impressed. Conclave flagship Courage of Flame Admiral Tokanar stood rigid, fists clenched behind his back. Fire a warning shot, sir. Now, a blinding arc of blue plasma streaked toward the Revenant. It struck dead center and vanished. No impact, no shield flare, just nothing. Onboard systems across the fleet began to scream. Dozens of ships lost main power. Hulls warped like metal. Under breath, gravitational balance inverted. One frigate folded in half and drifted silently into its neighbor, tearing both apart without a single energy discharge. A voice came through the channel, unreadable, ancient, your warning has been acknowledged. And then space itself seemed to bend inward. Spectacle in the sky. From the third moon of Zavalon, civilians watched the heavens darken not from clouds, but from something else. Stars blinked out. Constellations disappeared. And then it began. The Leviathan ships moved not through space, but around it, cutting angles that shouldn't exist. They didn't fire. They didn't need to. They unmade physics. Across the fleet, conclave ships began to disappear, folded into themselves. Their screams never escaping, as each vessel became a perfect sphere of condensed memory, stored and ejected into deep space with the cold efficiency of a god filing documents. Within 3 minutes, the Zavalon array was gone. Not destroyed. Archived. Last ship standing only. One ship remained, a lone scout vessel, its captain frozen in his chair, eyes wide, and hands shaking. A direct transmission came to him. Return home. Deliver our message. You have witnessed restraint. Do not make us teach you what fear truly is. The ship's sensors overloaded, and when the light faded, nothing remained in orbit. No human ships, no energy signatures, no wreckage, just silence. The kind of silence only Earth could leave behind. Back on Titan. Vault of the Corlyra stood before the AI interface, her fingers hovering over a confirmation key. Why didn't you finish them? She asked quietly. The AI responded in the voice of 100 merged human commanders. This was diplomacy. Earth-style. She turned away, breath shallow. They don't understand yet, they will. Conclave emergency session 5 hours later, ambassadors screamed. Some resigned on the spot. Dozens demanded the immediate surrender of the conclave to Earth Command. Javarn stood at the center, face blank, his voice shaking. They told us that was restraint, and they erased an entire fleet without deploying a weapon. Tok, pale and silent, whispered, what happens when they stop holding back? In the deep vaults beneath Titan, a circular chamber flickered to life. Massive, cold. The walls were covered in slowly moving scripts, human languages, both modern and long extinct, cataloging war logs, surrender notices, and names of the lost. The center, a table empty, save for 8 glowing chairs. One by one, they filled. Not with people, but with holographic projections, figures of Earth's highest surviving authority. The Terran continuum, each a mix of human AI and something in between, mind synced across centuries. Faces half familiar, half forgotten. Lyra, Malkov entered alone. Walking toward the center, a voice genderless cold spoke from the air. You have verified live engagement. Conclave has committed a third provocation. Another voice, older, angrier, cut through. They fired first. Now they flinch at shadows. Lyra stood firm. They're afraid. But fear doesn't mean intent. They wiped a refugee vessel last cycle, said another figure, its body flickering between soldier and scholar. They didn't know it was Terran tech, but they should have. Lyra snapped. So you'll kill billions to prove a point. Silence. We never needed to prove anything. A new voice said, softer, more human. We left the stars to give them peace. They saw it as weakness. One seat turned toward her, fully corporeal now, flesh and tech entwined. Should we remind them what humans become when peace is no longer an option? Lyra clenched her fists. Not yet. Give me time. Let me speak to the outer worlds. The people want peace. It's the conclave leaders who panic. A long pause. You have 72 hours. No more. Meanwhile, inside conclave high command, the chamber was in chaos. Species bickered, throwing blame. Some demanded retaliation. Others fled, abandoning posts mid-meeting. The assassination of a key ambassador on Iran VI had triggered a complete diplomatic collapse. And at the head of it all sat High Chancellor Velsirox, eyes cold, watching the breakdown he'd anticipated. A private transmission whispered into his ear. The humans gave a warning. He nodded slowly, and we've made a choice. Sirax pressed a hidden control embedded in his chair. Across the chamber, a coded command sequence was released, one that hadn't been accessed in centuries. Protocol Shatterpoint. In motion, hidden within deep core conclave installations, were deadman switches by biogenic AI drone. Minds designed for planetary sterilization. Thought lost. Thought forgotten. One tap of a button, and 10 key human-adjacent systems would burn. On Titan. Every Terran warning satellite pinged red. The AIs responded instantly, not with missiles, but with data. Every Shatterpoint node was found and erased simultaneously with such precision that the conclave didn't even realize it until their entire planetary defense grid failed. Titan Vault final request. Lyra dropped to her knees. You saw that. That wasn't all of them. Just one faction, just one madman. The Council of Earth said nothing. One voice, female, calm, spoke. We know, and that's why we've already moved. Behind her, a vault door split open. Lyra froze. A new class of Terran warform walked out. Bipedal, 7 meters tall. Sleek, silent, not built for war, built for judgment. Each one bore a mark on its chest. Retribution is not vengeance. Retribution is clarity. In the Conclave High Control Tower, orbiting Navarre Prime, Chancellor Vel Sirex stood alone, gazing through reinforced glass as the stars shifted unnaturally. They weren't blinking. They were disappearing, one by one, not from destruction but from severance. A senior aide burst into the room, panting, eyes wide with terror. Chancellor, the last failsafe was activated. Who gave the command? Sirex turned, calm as glass. I did. The aide staggered. Please tell me you didn't. Just provoke them. Again, Sirex's smile was small. I didn't provoke them. He turned back to the stars. I forced their hand. Moments earlier, edge of the Indari drift across space, Terran Leviathan fleets hung in silence. Their formation perfect. Their weapons idle. Judgment-class warforms had deployed floating, upright arms folded, like statues before a divine storm. Lyra Malkov's face was broadcast on every conclave system. You were warned. You watched them erase a fleet with no violence. You mistook patience for surrender. You mistook restraint for inability. She lowered her eyes, and now, you've left them no choice. The strike that never landed as protocol. Shatterpoint's final failsafe triggered. A massive kinetic weapon fired from a hidden conclave base in the Omega Helix cluster, aimed directly at Earth's moon. Meant to shatter it in one impact. It traveled at near light speed, too fast to stop, too late to undo. But it never hit. Instead, it slowed, stopped, and disintegrated mid-flight, particles unwinding in quantum sequence. Human technology hadn't intercepted it with force. They'd intercepted it with code. Earth had rewritten physics around the weapon and deleted it from causality. Then, Earth answered a moment of silence. No broadcasts, no weapons, just gravity shifting, light bending. And then it came. A single Terran drone agent, cracked but burning with blue flame, descended from the Leviathan fleet over a conclave. Colony world, it bore no payload, no threat. This is not a war. This is your reminder. Across the galaxy, every conclave archive went dark. Digital histories deleted. Economic banks scrambled. Fleet records reset to zero. For 2 full minutes, the conclave had no past. Only now, only fear. Titan chamber of decision. The continuum turned to Lyra. You've seen what we can do. She nodded, eyes filled with tears. I've also seen what you didn't do. Then speak the final verdict. She stepped forward, placed her hand on the control. Her voice echoed across every Terran node. No extinction, no genocide, but make them remember. And so they did. Every major conclave capital awoke the next morning to an impossible monument. A towering obelisk of black alloy, etched with the names of every Terran colony lost to conclave aggression. Each monument humming with a deep, quiet heartbeat. And at the base, in bold human script, we do not forgive, we do not forget. But this time, we remember for you.